Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the spring term. Welcome to personality. I wanted to just get something kind of quick put together and sent out to you all to welcome you and to introduce myself, explain a little bit. I know you're all kind of going through the syllabus and the Canvas shell and all the nuts and bolts of everything for this and all your other classes. So I figured it'd be worth trying to at least touch on some of the basics. It's all reasonably straightforward, but there's some context and nuance in that I wanted to touch on. So, additionally, you'll see down the road here that on occasion I'll just send messages out like this in lieu of emails because I'm kind of infamous for my emails, which are extraordinarily like long and detailed, and I mean you will not be able to retain consciousness. No one has to date. So at least if I'm doing it this way, you can turn it on and go run errands or work around, do like whatever, and just kind of listen to me ramble on, and hopefully that'll be helpful along the way. A little bit about me. This is a fun course for me to do because it's kind of it's not my usual thing. My area is more in behavioral neuroscience and comparative animal behavior, and my typical courses that I would teach would be like statistics, research, physiology, brain and behavior, animal learning and behavior, things like that. And those are all kind of really tucked down on one end of the sort of science-y spectrum, as it's referred to. You make this motion when you say it. And so you have the sort of hard-nosed physiology, statistical, analytical side of things. And so that's usually where I live. So when I get a shift down to a course like this, where it's very much not that, it's way more theoretical, there's a lot more philosophical kind of discussion. It's a nice change of pace, and it's interesting as hell. Uh, Personality is, like I always say when I'm teaching all these different courses. It's another one of those things in the sphere of psychology where it's a word we've been using our whole life, right? We toss it around in popular culture and in conversations, and we all have this like sense of what it means. And then you get into a course like this or one of the other psychology courses where we really try to pin it down and say, well, what exactly do you mean by that? Similar to intelligence or to emotions, uh, cognitions, like all of these things that we know the words, we use them colloquially, we feel like we understand it, but when you really try to pin these things down, it's very difficult to do that. And so that's part of what makes this course so interesting is that we can't just point to really specific brain anatomy or really specific genes or other components because it's all very complex. It's all very nuanced. And so we'll spend all kinds of time with nature and nurture, and we'll cross those bridges later. See, I'm about to go off the rails already here. uh, so to kind of speak to that in a more practical sense, which is to say kind of the nuts and bolts of this course and what to expect, you're already seeing as you're going through the syllabus and the Canvas information and all that. Um, like most courses you're probably accustomed to, we've laid it out in series of modules, 10-week course with a finals week. Um, and then, of course, distributed the readings and the texts and the things like that through those weeks. So, what are the meat and potatoes? Like, where are the emphases going to be? Obviously, there are always the exam components with something like this. These should be reasonably straightforward, but I'll give you a little bit of explanation here at the front end, and then, of course, as they become more near, we'll talk in more depth about those things. But the way that we are set up for this term is we have two quote unquote midterm exams, and then we also have a final exam. These are not words that you're going to like, but a final exam that is essay. That all sounds terrible. It is not. I promise it's way better than it sounds. And I'll explain that in a moment. So we have three exams that we'll be doing. The first two midterms are going to be your sort of typical, right out of the readings and lectures kind of information. They will be in set up in Canvas. They are proctored, so probably all of you at this stage are familiar with Proctorio. We've been using it now for at least a few terms, and if for any reason you are not, I mean, I have information in there, but let me know. I mean, if you have questions, anything else, I'm more than happy to speak to any of that. But those first two midterms, those are going to be multiple choice, just covering the sections, the information prior. So the first chunk will be on the first midterm. From the first midterm on to the second will be what's on the next one. And you'll notice that I when I use air quotes saying midterm, well, they're not really occurring at the midpoint of the term, so it's not exactly right. You'll see on the schedule, and I will remind you that because of the way it's set up, I believe our first one takes place already here in week 4. We'll do the next 4 weeks out from there in week 8. And then we'll have those last couple of weeks leading into the final bit. The final is not at all like the midterms in the sense of directly going into, you need to know lots of specific details about this chapter, that chapter. It's not that kind of a thing. You'll see as you scroll down through the modules that there are a series of readings that pertain directly to some of the major theorists or people that have made contributions that we're going to spend a lot of time with, and that those readings kind of speak more specifically to the experience and the development of the ideas and just components, aspects of the lives of those particular individuals. That is what will be covered on the final. Again, we'll certainly, as we cross that bridge as we come to it, but just know at the front end, it's not nearly remotely as intimidating as it sounds when you say a final essay exam. And I can speak to that at whatever point, but that's a long ways out yet. Long ways, 10 weeks, it flies by every time. Okay, that's the brief version of what to expect with the exams. Of course, we have lots of other stuff that we do along the way as well. So there'll be quizzes for each of those chapters. Those quizzes are not like the exams in the sense that they are not proctored. It's not closed note, closed book, that kind of a thing. You're welcome to your materials when you work on those. They're just brief, multiple choice, very straightforward, pertaining, of course, just directly to the information in the chapter that we were just covering. And then the last piece, and this is one that it's a big piece in the sense of there's going to be a lot of participation in it. It's a big part of the course, which is the discussion forums. Now, these can be awkward, but quite frankly, I'm still very much adjusting to this online world. I've always been a face-to-face lecture course, engage, have the conversations, that sort of a thing. So I'm still trying to adjust to this weird digitized situation. So the discussion forums are really about the only place where we all get to kind of come together and exchange ideas and talk about things. And you're going to notice that some are very open-ended, just kind of speaking to some of the ideas or, how does this relate to you? Other times they'll be sort of participatory. We're going to talk about a lot of different approaches, for instance, to trying to measure something like personality, this nebulous concept that we try to tap into. We try to operationally define, measure, work with, experiment on, and there's no one way to do it. So we're going to explore a number of different approaches and metrics and tools and things like that. So it's going to be an opportunity for us all to kind of dive in and spend some time in those discussion forums. And you'll notice that there are 2 for each week. And that in addition to that we're going to be trying to revisit those as much as we possibly can. And by which I guess I'm trying to say, there's your initial post, the question will be posed to you, or the idea, or the, whatever inspiration. And you'll have your initial post. But then, of course, the goal is to then come back, read other people's posts, respond to what they have to say. People are going to respond to what you had to say, respond back to them. It's not meant to be something that's overwhelming and something we have to spend extraordinary amounts of time on, but it is an integral piece of the course where we'll very much be looking for, participation and engagement in those discussions throughout the term. You will notice too that, of course, like anything else, we have sort of due dates for quizzes, for discussion forums, that kind of a thing. That being said, I don't know what it's been like, for instance, with other professors and other courses. I know that for myself and for the folks that I have talked to, that, this last year has been a shit show. It has been crazy. And, all of us have been sort of just treading water to, keep adapting to the situation, to make the best of whatever we happen to be dealing with. And we're still in that now, even though we finally might be on our way to emerging from it. This is all to say that I myself and other folks that I know have tried to be very flexible, very accommodating, because this is impacting people's lives, and they're not just your education, but jobs and health and family. And, there's all manner of different places where this is landing in people's lives. And so I'm trying to make my courses as malleable and adjustable to that as is possible. So this is all to say that you're going to see the due dates in there. These are mileposts that do give us a sense of where we really should be. But I'm also not in the business of, I'm going to shut this thing down at 11:59 on Sunday night and you're out of luck. If if something comes up, if whatever, fill in the blank with it. But if circumstances happen, you're not able to get things done by that 11:59 mark, it's not the end of the world. And definitely do not just, forego the whole thing like, well, that ship has sailed. That's not true. So you can still, I want us all to keep on track, of course. That's part of doing this course. We're all having the discussions at the same time. We're reading the information at the same time. We're as collectively engaged as we can be as disparate individuals spread across the planet. But don't concern yourself overly with the due dates themselves. You can come back and revisit those things. You can go back and do a quiz that you missed from a couple of weeks back, and you're not going to be penalized for it. The exams, of course, are not in that exact realm. If circumstances come up, if something happens, you and I will hammer that out within our own conversation. But of course, there's not going to be the same kind of flexibility when it comes to those. But having said that, that's where I guess I would emphasize to you all that everybody engages these courses in their own unique way. As I say, I'm still trying to get used to it. I've never been on the receiving end of one of these like you all. And so it's a different beast. My MO is that I want to be as engaged with you in this course as you want me to be, basically. And so that's to say that I know that there are a lot of people, for instance, that, are doing eCampus because they've got their job, they got the kids and this and that. And, you log on when you can, you do the work that you need to do, and then you get on to the next thing. And so for many of you, for instance, you're just going to boom, boom, boom. You're going to knock out the stuff. You're going to do the work. And you and I may or may not even have any direct contact between the two of us between now and the end of the term. And that's perfectly fine. If that's your modus operandi, then I'm totally comfortable with that. That being said, I know that there can be this weird feeling of, this weird separation because we don't see each other face to face. We don't meet physically. So please do know that if you're one of the students that does prefer having interaction, that likes to ask questions, that would be the person showing up for office hours, things like that, that I'm always available. That's why I'm here. And so please don't be a stranger, reach out. I'm always answering email. I'm always free to do a Zoom meeting or a study session or a phone call. That's why I'm here. So Part of why I tell you this is because I'm a complete hypocrite too. I was absolutely the student that never did those things. I was the guy who would rather sit at home, stressed out beyond belief, not getting sleep, and pulling my hair out trying to figure something out before I was going to reach out to my professor and ask a question. And that's very stupid. The running mantra around this house, I have two 5-year-old twins, so they're crazy. But the running mantra is don't do what dad does. And so I would say that to you all too. Don't do what Dr. Dumbass did. Please reach out. Please let me know if you need anything. That's why I'm here. And I've said it, but I'll probably say it in every damn message that I send out and things like that along the way too. So for what it's worth. And with that, let's see. Yeah, I've been talking at you for like over 15 minutes. That's probably sufficient at this point. No doubt I haven't answered every possible question that you might have, so please reach out. Let me know if there's anything I can clarify. Note that, for instance, there's a Q&A discussion forum that's in our Canvas shell, so if there are questions that it would be helpful for kind of everybody to have access to, I check that all of the time, so definitely ask there. Or if you just want to ask me something one-on-one, my email's all over the place. You should be able to get a hold of me easy peasy. Okay, I'm going to shut up and let you get back to your day. You have enough of these damn syllabi to look at without listening to me yak on and on. I'm excited to work with you all in whatever capacity that is in the coming weeks, and we're going to cover some really fun and interesting stuff, and I'm excited to get to know you insofar as I can in this way, but yeah, I think it's going to be a great term. So take care of yourself, one another out there. We'll be in touch, and yeah, cheers.